There's a lot of reasons to love companies like Retroid and Ion. I have expectations from them, pretty damn high expectations, because they are our saviors in white shining armor when it comes to our retro needs. They are one of the few that actually scratch that retro itch, and they scratch it so good. But there's two consistent things that both Ion and Retroid do that outright piss me off. And this needs to be addressed. People should be talking about this. We're consumers. We are numbers and profit margins for these companies. We should only be loyal to ourselves and to this channel. Make sure you subscribe. And honestly, it's not just about these two companies. A lot of companies that do retro devices can work on this. My first and biggest gripe is the freaking bezels around the screen. Look, there's no excuse to have two layers of bezels. There's the display one, which is understandable because they can't really use a top-of-the-line bezel-less display and still not mark up the price of the unit to infinity, so that I understand. But after that, we also have a plastic bezel on top. And you might say, hey Vlad, that's actually mandatory. The shell needs to have structural integrity. And I'm sorry, I do not agree with this. You can have structural integrity in the shell of your device without putting massive plastic horizontal borders on the top and the bottom. I know I've referenced the Miyoo Mini Plus a lot, but look at this mother flipper. If this $50 or close to $50 device can have a more or less bezel-less screen, then this is obviously not a technical or design restraint. It's just bad product design, and this is with keeping into account that screens tend to have a bottom bezel, because that's where the connectors are. The Miyoo cleverly hides it here, where we see this gray band underneath the display. But on 16:9 aspect ratio devices, usually that lip, that bezel, that chin is at the bottom. If a device is vertical, the connector chin is usually right here on the south. So by putting, let's pretend this is a 16:9 screen, by putting this bad boy into a handheld form factor, you would have controllers here and here, but the top and the bottom parts of the screen would still be technically bezel-less if they made the design in such a way where they would have thought of this beforehand. But they don't want to do this. And honestly, I do not understand. For the life of me, I do not understand why. You can make a perfectly good product. It's not like you have higher costs. I would actually say that you use less plastic. But admittedly, you would have to put either a bigger screen in the same form factor, which is a net upgrade because every consumer out there hates bezels, and you can reinforce that screen on the shell on the inside. You don't have to have a plastic harness around the screen. This isn't the 90s. There are literally better ways to design a shell which holds all of the components inside in a very optimal way. My point is that you can have very cheap screens which you can make look more premium if you focus the design of the handheld around the screen that you're using. And it really isn't rocket science. Again, Miyoo is a small team of people. I don't even think they are 5 people. I might be wrong. I read somewhere that they are a very small team. And if those guys can put a very cheap display that's by all accounts not really bezel-less and make it so that you have the illusion of a bezel-less screen, then I'm sorry, but Retroid and Ion, which are admittedly larger companies, they do not have an excuse with this, and I am fully aware that I might pass off as a hater. I love these companies. Retroid, Ion, you can always send me devices for a review, just saying. I would love you guys, wink wink, nudge nudge. I would still be objective in the reviews though. But I just feel like nobody's talking about this, and there should be someone out there, someone with admittedly a way bigger influence than me, talking about this stuff, because that's how we make companies change. Putting this aside, this isn't even the biggest, well, it is for me, I care about bezel-less screens, but this isn't even the biggest issue for most people, which they can easily easily circumvent. I came to the conclusion that most handheld companies, no matter if they do Android handhelds or very cheap Linux handhelds, most of them intentionally put way slower SoCs on their devices, and I doubt that it's really about the price. We are seeing newly released handhelds with the same SoCs that we saw in the handhelds that were released in 2020, and this should tell us something. It's not like this entire branch of technology is standing still. On the contrary, it's the most rapidly advancing one. My theory, at least with Android handhelds, is that they intentionally put slower SoCs, not necessarily to only meet a price bracket, but also to not eat into the sales of future handhelds that they plan on releasing down the line in a year or two. Because it's simple, there's only so many things that you can emulate. If you can easily emulate PS2, for example, in a $120 handheld, then you've killed the segment for $200 or $200+ handhelds. Companies cannot feasibly charge a higher markup after this, because nobody would buy them. Everybody is looking at a very specific set of variables. How does the console look? How does it feel in the hand? How's the screen like? Are the joysticks and the buttons good? What's the performance like? And I don't think that making decent quality joysticks and buttons is that difficult nowadays, not if you're a fairly serious company. And a lot of SoCs are actually dirt cheap. Yeah, they have to stay in a price bracket, but even in a $200 price bracket like the one in which the Retroid Pocket 4 Pro is, you have a huge variety of SoCs at a very small price that you can stick in these handhelds, which are available in very large volume, and I feasibly don't see any bottleneck here, except for an artificial one, where they want to make sure that you buy at least 2 or 3 more generations of handhelds, because once you hit a certain level of performance, you will most probably stop or find no other reason to buy other ones. And I don't want to throw shade at Ion or Retroid. These are just two random companies that popped in my head. We have anomalies. We have the Odin 2, and now we have the Neo Pocket S, which I don't think a price for it has been announced. But we're starting to see companies, slowly but surely, being forced to break these limitations. I just can't respect companies that continue to deliver mediocre pieces of hardware just for the sake of maximizing sales. A lot of them do this and nobody is holding them accountable. Again, Retroid, Ion, please send me review devices. I wouldn't mind. But yeah, constructive criticism. If Neo actually prices the Pocket S at a very good price, then it will butcher all the other handhelds around. If for some reason they release it at $250, it will literally throw the Retroid Pocket 4 Pro right into obsolescence. And I think that's a beautiful thing. This is how things evolve. But god damn it, I feel like in the last 2 years we got 2 or 3 good consoles. The rest were just repackagings of old SoCs with very poorly thought out displays. So, tell me, what do you think? Do you think I'm off my rocker? Do you think I should wear a tinfoil hat? Maybe I should. Maybe I shouldn't. Point is, if we look at the Pocket S right now from Neo, which has both a kind of bezel screen and a very good SoC, then we can kind of figure out that these are artificial limitations. And if that handheld, the Pocket S, if it will be priced very high, then we can know that the price bracket where it stands, at least in part, is kind of artificial. Especially if they dare to price it more than the Ion Odin 2. That would be blasphemy. There's no other word for it. In any case, this has been on my mind for the last couple of days. I'm curious to hear what you think. And until we meet next time, my good friends, make sure to check this new clip over here. I need that juicy watch time.